I come to you tonight when I'm recording this from South Los Angeles. I know it's the more recognizable term in the media term and even in the titles of two of my books, South Central. But no matter how you name it or how you call it, life here has its ups and downs, its ebbs and flows, and it's always the people that make this entire region, this entire community, what it is. Not the ones who engage in violent acts or violent means, but the small business owners, the people that work for the city, school teachers like myself, um, regular people work in the barbershops, people that work in libraries, the people that work in stores, where they're stocking or they're working the cashier's booth. These are all, well, not all, but part of the story of what makes South Central or South LA happen in the stories that I write. Because I grew up here. I was born here, raised here, moved out of the city for 5 years and came back and more dedicated than ever to this. I'm ran a book expo for a number of years. I'm now the director of a writers group with the AC Bilbrey Library. So yeah, South LA is my earthly home right now, and it's filled with good people, mentors I learned from, and friends who have moved on, but will always be a part of my life, always be a part of my story. And this is the South LA that people don't quite understand, or they don't want to understand, or they can't grasp. Because we have in one section of the city a narrative that this is what's all at, right? But then you travel further down south, it's not the same. You know, the area which I grew up in, or two of the areas that I grew up in, have had their narratives defined by violence, drive-by shootings, other heinous acts that affect the community and have changed it dramatically. But it's always the people. It's always the elders that you talk with, the ones who attend church, encourage you to read your Bible, encourage you to stay in school, be at your best, and when they see you, they have nothing but good things to talk about you. I grew up around the best elders, older black gentlemen that I think could ever find. One owned a famous nightclub in the city. The other was a landlord who ran his own apartment house, and a house basically was his to serve college students or a university that's no longer here. And he also had a neighbor, an older gentleman from the country, but was always nice and kind to me and had stories to tell, right? People that come from the South always have stories to tell. And even my father loved to tell a yarn or two, loved to tell you what was going on in his time in the military and the wars he fought and what happened. And some were very funny, nice slice of life. The others just hit you hard because you begin to see that PTSD, you begin to see that survivor's guilt and how it affects you all through your life. Most of the elders that I grew up with have been affected by war one way or another. But they came back to the States and started doing what they needed to do to not only get their families or support their families, but also support the area, support the community. There were times when we had a councilman, a former councilman, live right down the street from us. My father told me before he passed that this councilman who used to live in our neighborhood lived right down the street on the other side of the street. Then he moved behind us in another block. So he was always accessible, right? Always part of the community. You can't find that today. You're finding politicians not as friendly, not as, approachable, because they have their entourage and they also have their mystique about them. This was the South LA that I grew up in. I grew up with a lot of people who stressed education was important to someone like me, and I'm a Gen Xer. But we were like the first generation that education was really stressed. Now, I know that we were the generation after Dr. King and Malcolm X, but still, more importantly, the things that our elders told us to pay attention to: education, stay in school, read your books, don't act up. Those were the messages I heard from people who were older than me, who had gone through whatever it was they went through their own stories. They're trying to impart their wisdom to me just by simply saying, read, stay in school, get your education. Now, as an educator myself, I try to share those same values and try to share the same experience with all the young people that I see. And I'm very glad that the young people who look up to me, who follow Mr. Chapman on social media, who will occasionally say hi, it just shows you that by just being an example, being someone that they can talk to, they can approach, and they can ask questions, and they can get my view of things that's affecting them. It just shows you that you don't have to be this name, you don't have to be this superstar, you don't have to be this person. You just have to be human, you just have to be alive. You just have to matter, you know, to them and to everyone else in your life. Yeah, times were very easy back then. Still had our share of difficulties, but in terms of going to the library and reading all the books that I read and hearing my elders saying, "You, this is the place you should be. Get all this knowledge, soak up all this knowledge," and that's exactly what happened. But now today, young people are on their phones and they're not absorbing knowledge. They're not going to all the websites that will help them gain knowledge. They just go to websites that make them feel cool, that make them feel as if they have a voice in the game, right? The whole influencer thing, social media. But you could be a bigger influencer by just living a good life and touching someone's heart. You know, being there when you need them or when they need you, and just be true and honest with yourself. If there was an elder in your life that taught you how to live your life by sharing some advice, that was worth it. And for me, it all happened here in South LA. I know that we get a lot of criticism here, and just by virtue of living in California. But stating that you're from South Los Angeles means it's double that, right? Based on the shade that I am. But I would tell you that there are some good people that live here. People that I've met who have lived in other cities, who are now starting to live and start to become the part of the community that I live in, who have knowledge, who have special talents, who are willing to share those talents and express them to other people. And that's what makes life worth living. But we live in a life now. We live in an era and time when it's all about the shine, right? You can. It's all about your associations. It's all about your causes. It's all about protests. I understand that. We live in a politically charged time. Everyone has got a voice. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has something to say. Everyone has their own idea of how this life should be, an American life. And I totally agree with all of that. You should protest. You should be able to be political when it calls for it. But I feel along the way, we've lost being human, being humane towards each other. It's all about clicks and likes on social media, whether or not that you get the biggest shine, whether or not you have the most followers, or any other things that have nothing to do with really how we treat each other as individuals and being an individual, right? All I can just tell you is that I would not be the young man that I am today if it weren't for the strong black men in my life outside of my father, who just my father alone did a good job, and he will be ever be remembered for doing that. But there's also my neighbors. There's also the men around me who own businesses, who provided services for the community, who were just part of my life and showed me the right way to live. Those men deserve all the credit in my life because they helped shape me be the person that I am. Without them, I've probably been just another knucklehead just running the streets. But I had good parents that made sure that was never going to happen, especially my father. I thought I would just share that with you because I live in South Los Angeles still. I live in an area that the media, for the longest time, has created the narratives of the blue and the red, the drive-by shootings, the many deaths, the cemeteries being filled up. That is a reality. That is always going to be the history, the sad history of our community. And yet, through all that, we fail to see that there's wisdom. Not only the men that I grew up with, but also the many individuals, whether it be in church, whether it be in social gatherings, whether it be any place that mentors thrive, hang out. Mentors are willing to tell you, hey, Charles, there's a lot more to life than what you see. And all I can just say is that they're right. They've always been right. And now that it's my turn to tell young people that, I only hope and pray that, as I'm starting to see now, and I'm very thankful for this, that the young people that I've influenced as Mr. Chapman in their school, I hope and pray that I can influence them as Charles as they continue to grow up and as they continue to follow me and continue to see my story unfold. Just a resident, long-time resident with a 5-year period living somewhere else. But hope to see that I'm a lifelong resident of South Los Angeles, of South Central. And all I want to do is live and just excel at what I do, which is, the writing, the authorship, the sharing of stories through, or the poems or the articles, whatever I do that makes me feel good about myself, and hopefully someone else can see that and become inspired as well. Just like I was inspired by the black men, the elders who were doing their thing and lived their life the way they could. So if you happen to be of a certain age, and whether you're a man or woman or someone else, and you want to be an influencer, an elder to young people, just get to know them on a level that is up here. Talk with them, get to know them, find out what their hopes and dreams are, ask questions, encourage them, give them affirmations daily. Let them know that they're always going to be at their best, and always know that deep down inside, you are the biggest supporter. Just like all the students I've known who graduated and have moved on, I'm always going to be the biggest supporter. Why? Because I saw something in them that perhaps no one else could see. But I'm rooting for them. Just like those elders rooted for me when I was growing up. And to that, I'll always be thankful. A resident of South Central, South Los Angeles. If you enjoyed this message, I implore you to like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the banner to my website, and you're invited to take a look at all of the features that are on the website, from my interviews, my upcoming books, my upcoming projects, my bio, everything that I've done. You're welcome to take a look and maybe join my newsletter if you like. So all I can just say is that I'm very thankful for your support. I know this has been a long video. I'm so sorry I'm long-winded, just a lot on my mind, but thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for being there for me. And for those of you who are just following me for the first time, welcome. I appreciate you taking the time to take a look and see who I am, and I hope and pray that you'll come back for more. With all that being said, I want to again wish you all the best whenever you're watching this, whether it be day or night, AM or PM, whenever you're watching this. I do wish you all the best. And in closing, take care.